Now we are going to code the user login page that looks like this, with the application logo at the top and then the text access to Xiaomi control panel and two text fields, email and password, and the login button. Note that Spring Security generates the login page by default, so we need to configure Spring Security to use our custom login page. Come back to the project, and previously in the web security config class, we configure this statement to allow public access to any pages of the application. Here you see authorize request, any request, permit all. So that's why we can access the home page, the Xiaomi admin application without authentication, and we can see the user listing page here without the need to log in. Now let me delete this configure method, save the change, and refresh the user listing page again. And this time you see the default login page appears, and you can right click to view the code generated by Spring Security. Here you see by default the action of the login form is /login here, and two text fields, username and password here, and security token CSRF here. The default login page is nice enough for quick testing, but it doesn't meet our requirement to show the login page looking like this. That's why we need to create our custom login page. So come back to the project and undo the change, and here now I will change the configuration from allowing public access to any request to require authentication. So we change the statement to authenticated. This means that now access to this application will require login. Save the changes and refresh here. Refresh the home page of the Xiaomi admin application here, and we got a white label error page because it is access denied here, require authentication to access the application. Now we need to configure our custom login page here. And from login, and here we specify the relative URL of the login page, which is /login, and then permit access to this login page, permit all. Okay, save the changes and refresh, and now you see we got another error, page not found, status 404, meaning that Spring Security is looking for the custom login page as this URL, but we have not created this page yet. So let me create our login page here in the templates directory. Templates here, we can copy and reuse the code of the index page here. Okay, copy and paste, and change the name to login.html. Then open the new login page, and we change the page title to login Xiaomi admin. And on this page we need to use only Bootstrap CSS, so delete the JavaScript statements here. Okay, and delete the unnecessary code here, the code of the home page here. Keep the footer. Okay, and for quick test, just change the heading of the page to custom login page. Okay, and save the change, and refresh the Xiaomi admin again. And we still got the error 404 because there's no handler method for this relative URL /login. So we need to open a Spring MVC controller, main controller here, and add a new handler method for the login page here. Get mapping with the relative URL is /login, and the method view login page, and here we just return the logical view name, which is login. Okay, and now it should show the custom login page. Refresh, and you can see the heading of the custom login page appears here. So far so good. And now we code the login page to show the user interface looking like this here, with the big application logo at the top here, and then the form fields, email and password, and login button here. Okay, come back and update the login HTML page here. We have a deep section here. In this deep section we show the application logo, so we can use the image tag with the source to the image is the image application logo in the images directory here. We have Shopee admin small, and we need to use a big one. So I have the picture Shopee admin big logo here. Copy to the image directory. You can find this image under the resources section of this lecture, and paste under the images directory here. Okay, and here we refer to that image file. Slash images slash and then the file name f2, and copy the file name. Okay, and save the change and refresh here, and you can see the image not display because for security reason. You see it requires a login to view the image because in the Spring Security config class here we specify that any request must be authenticated here. So we need to add exception for the static resources like images. So here we need to override another method, source override implement method of the superclass. It is a method configure web security here. Okay, and then here in this method we need to ignore the authentication for the static resources, so we call web ignoring, and we use the unmatches method to match the relative URLs, which is images slash and all the files, all the subdirectory in the images directory. And we do the same for JavaScript resource in under the JS directory. As you can see, we have not created the JS directory yet, but here we configure beforehand. And also the web JS directory, the web JS directory. All files, all subdirectories under the web JS directory, because in the view page we use the resources for CSS and JavaScript jQuery under the web JS directory here. So we need to ignore authentication for the images, JavaScript, and the resources under web JS directory. Okay, and refresh, and now you can see the application logo appears here, but it is quite small, right? I think I have used the name of the small image here. Okay, so change the name to Shopee admin big.png here, and refresh, and now we got a bigger logo here. Then come back to the project, and now we create the login form here, form, and specify the action of the form. Th action equal to the before login URL is slash login, and with the method is http post and we have a div section for the form fields here. The first text line is access to Shopee control panel. You see, and we need to center the text, the content here. So we use a class text dash center. Now refresh and you see. And we need to have border for the div section here. So we use a class border, and border secondary is a type of the border, and a rounded corner for the border. Then you see here, and then we need to have the text fields, email and password. So we can put the input field inside a paragraph here. Input type equal email, name is email, class is form dash control, and this field is require. Then you see the text field for email here. We need to make the form smaller in width. Okay, so here in the form we can specify a style here with the max width is about 350 pixels, and center the form on screen using the margin attribute, margin 0 auto. Okay, and now we will see the form here, and we need to use some padding around the form. So we specify the padding attribute here, p3, padding size 3, energy. It looks better, right? And we need to set the placeholder text for this field. So here we specify placeholder is email. Then you see here it shows the suggestion here, email. Then we write a similar code for the password field. So copy paste and modify here, and the input type is now password, and the name is password, and the placeholder is password. This field is also required. Okay, you see the password field appears here, and then the login button. Input type equal submit, value is the caption of the button, login, and we use a class from Bootstrap which is btn button, btn primary for a blue color button. Then you see the login button here. Perfect, right? Let's try to click login, and you can see the validation error message of the browser because the field is required, and it also shows the validation error message for a valid email address. Right click view page source, and you can see the name of the input is email, but Spring Security requires the name of the input is username. So we need to update the configuration class here to specify the custom parameter for the login page here. Username parameter, by default the username parameter is username, but we use the email, so we need to specify username parameter is email here. Okay, save the changes, and that's for the coding of the custom login page. As you can see here,